So this is the end of or 12 hours from the end of my trip home. My train got to DC like an hour and 45 minutes late. So I missed my train by 2 minutes. It was the only one on time of the whole trip. And then I was just gonna take 24 hours from now, find a friend or something in DC or a hotel. And then I was like, well, I really should get back from my school. So the lady said she could get me to Lynchburg. And I thought, great, I'll just Uber home or Uber to my car in Roanoke from there and then get home. And then there's no Ubers in Lynchburg at 11:30 at night. So I'm freezing at midnight, and I just called a college student that I knew and asked him to come rescue me so I don't die freezing when it was 80 degrees yesterday in Florida. So a fun end to my adventure. So the story begins when I was hitchhiking. I was just hiking, not hitchhiking. But a lot of stories do begin when I was hitchhiking. But this story begins when I was hiking down Sharp Top Mountain, and I pulled over to the side of the trail to put on my earbuds and took a minute. When I got them on, all of a sudden there was a college student right next to me. So I ended up not even turning on my music and just started talking to him. Turns out his name was Will. He was with a group. I had seen him at the top, but we hadn't really talked at all. And for like 10 minutes, found out he was a college student at Liberty. And yeah, fun conversation, got to the bottom, said, goodbye. He actually got in a van where some people had not made it all the way up the mountain because they were too cold. It was a sunrise hike. And so I go to look at this little place on the lake that sometimes serves breakfast, but they were still closed. So I decided I was going to head home, and I feel like God says, go back and ask the students if they want breakfast. And I know the closest breakfast place is like half an hour, so that's a little bit awkward. And also, I only talked to this one kid, Will, not the other 6 students in the van, or 7, however many were in there. So, and I actually thought for some reason that there was 2 carloads of them, so even more awkward. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to ask them all to breakfast. So I pull up to the window. This guy, Colton, was the driver. And I said, hey, would you guys like to go to breakfast? And instead of saying God told me to ask you to breakfast, which that's even more weird, I just was like, yeah, I'd like to get feedback on this BAM school I'm running. Love to treat you guys to breakfast. So they're like, sure, we're going to this place in Lynchburg, which is an hour the wrong way for me. So instead of like a 45-minute trip home, it turned into like almost 2 hours. Go to breakfast at this place in Lynchburg. We sit down, and it turns out they are all part of like making disciples. Like they're preparing to go to the ends of the earth. They're like in a house church now in Lynchburg, so that they can prepare to do church in places where you can't do church. Sold out for the Lord. Super fun experience. I ended up going to their house church the next day, and I was really encouraged by their passion. They were encouraged because people were like, why the heck do you need to start a house church? There's like 200 churches in Lynchburg. We don't need another one. And they were like, no, we want to be prepared so that we can do church in places where there isn't church. So super cool. So I think I visited their church once in the fall, and then we had them come out to BAM school maybe in February. And when they were out here, they said, yeah, we're heading to this conference about taking the gospel to the ends of the earth in Birmingham in a couple weeks. Would you guys like to join us? And it didn't work out for us to go, but I said, hey, do you guys need housing in Birmingham? And they said, yes, that would be awesome. We're looking for a place to stay. So I said, my friends, the Merrills, would love to house you, which they did. They're very hospitable people if you're ever in Birmingham and need a place to crash. And so they got to stay with them. And then like a month later or so, that train trip when Colton rescued me happened. And the cool thing was, when I got on the phone with Colton, he said, I was just praying like 2 minutes ago that God would give me somebody to talk through some issues with. And then you called up. So that's awesome. So the next day, instead of getting an Uber, I just gave Colton gas money and bought him breakfast, and we had a couple hours to talk through some things and had a great morning. And who knows if that is the end of the story or there'll be more chapters down the road, but it's been a cool journey.